So I was in Tucson a couple of years ago, and there are a few people here who heard my presentation then. I'm Elana Freeland, and I'm the author of the books over there, by the way. The Under an Ionized Sky is $25, and the Chemtrails Heart book is $20. They're still salient because each book is sort of a process of discovery for me of this huge technology that I had no idea was so huge when I took it on back in 2012 when I was asked by my publisher if I thought I could write a book on chemtrails. I really thought it was simple then, and each book has given birth to yet another book. This is my latest, and your witnesses, this is my last book on geoengineering. I will have covered all the things that I have discovered to the degree that I feel my knowledge base can contribute to public knowledge. So it's geoengineered transhumanism, how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetics, and nanotechnology for synthetic biology. So the book was supposed to be out quite a while ago, several months, I think I told people. But what happened was the lockdown. And during the lockdown, I had the opportunity to listen to many doctors and read many research papers and many patents having to do with synthetic biology. At the beginning, I actually had this silly thought that it seemed like it had all happened for me because I needed to study it and it was breaking news. There was nowhere to go to read about what we have seen in the last over a year now. So now it is done. I'm done writing it, but now I'm editing it for my proofreader, and it will be out this month. I thought that you might want, if somebody has a piece of paper, they might put it up there. You might want to give me your email and write it very carefully, and I'll put you on the list to let you know when the book is finally out. This book is longer than the others, and I cover just about everything but the kitchen sink regarding what up there has to do with what's in here. You see, I'm going to make those connections. Today, we're just going to have a sort of primer to show you how you can think about this. It's a very big picture. I totally realize that. But, you know, I was so happy that particularly the last two people, that was Allison's presentation and Ben's presentation. Those two gave you a good entry into what I'm going to talk about because, in a way, I'm sort of the background. That's how I see what I know. You know, I'm really thrilled that Allison is doing the work she's doing. I'm a big fan of hers because she's talking about what you're seeing now in your lives and out front. And what I'm talking about is how this was all set up behind the secret space program that Catherine Austin Fitts has talked about for years. Originally, as she and a lawyer friend of hers were attempting to find out where $21 trillion of the American budget had been, where it was missing, where it had gone, and what she came up with was the best bet was the secret space program. So that's what I'm doing today. I know it's going to be heavy duty, but don't worry about it because you're not going to get it all today anyway. Don't even, just relax. You've had a long day, a lot of concentration. There's a lot of pictures, and I'm going to start out a little differently than I normally do in that, you know, I used to be a professional storyteller. A lot of people don't know that. I used to get paid big bucks to go to conferences and tell stories, myths, legends, fairy tales. And if you read my Sub Rosa series, Sub Rosa America, which is, there's an example over there. I'm not selling them today. You'd have to go on Amazon and get it. But in there, you see the storyteller. And so that mythical element, I'm going to start out with that. All right, so let's imagine that I've come to this planet. I'm a space traveler and a time traveler. And I've come to this planet to tell the people something that they need to know, but that no one is telling them because it's a national security classified project. And so I'm here, and I really, in a way, I really do believe I am exactly what I just said. As some of you may know, I'm a student of Rudolf Steiner, which of course gives me some quality of that time traveler, that space traveler, the one who comes with a mission to relay some knowledge that you'll be able to use, because this is not over yet. There is a tremendous war going on now for humanity, for the future of humanity. And I know a lot about that war. We can see that we're going to have to resurrect our spiritual side in order to have what we need in order to fight this war. So that's what I'm here for, and I'm going to do it in a strange way. I'm going to just inundate you with a lot of facts. But I know that this technology is like black magic. And I can say that after 10 years of studying it. I can assure you that this is not just technology. This is something more, and that humanity is at stake. All right, there I am, geoengineering and transhumanism. For those who don't know what transhumanism is, it's enhancing the human being with technology in order to make it superior, because the assumption of the elites, who are the engineers, you might say, of this planet, they feel that we are inferior and that our evolution is taking entirely too long, and they would rather have us merge with the machine under what today is known as brain-computer interface, BCI, and that's what's going on. That's the plot line of our fantasy that we're entering now. So this is by Rudolf Steiner. It's not a very good, not very clear, but I'll read it anyway. You must consider the whole part played by, I can't even read it from here. Who can read it? Who's a good reading voice? Come on, don't be shy. Yeah?
You must consider the whole part played by electricity in nature. Human beings cannot go on developing in the same way in an atmosphere permeated on all sides by electric currents and radiations. It has an influence on the whole development of man. This life of men in the midst of electricity, notably radiant electricity, will presently affect them in such a way that they will no longer be able to understand the news which they receive so rapidly. The effect is to damp down the intelligence. Such effects are already seen today. Even today, you can notice how people understand the things that come to them with far greater difficulty than they did a few decades ago.
And that was 100 years ago that he said that. All right, this is Jack Cruz, a neurosurgeon, MD, who's on our channels for the anti-geoengineering. And Jack says, he who controls the electromagnetic spectrum on Earth controls the living things on the surface of the planet. And that is no truer than today. This is a patent from 2016. There are a series of these. This is only one, in which you see the electromagnetic ring, similar to Saturn's, that is being made around the Earth, high above us. And it's, you see the jets and the rockets. This is how it's being laid. It's nano materials, nano metals, conductive, that are being laid in the upper atmosphere, and by centrifugal force, will remain up there. A lot of them fall to the earth, and we breathe them, right? They're in everything. They're in 12 inches of our soil. all the way down, especially aluminum oxide. So this is going on, and this is certainly the secret space program. Then we have this. Can you play that for me?
3, 2, 1. Liftoff of the Falcon 9.
Vehicles pitching downrange.
Stage 1 prop is nominal. Stage 1 entry startup. Stage 1 is transonic. Stage 1 landing weird startup. Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Falcon 9 has landed.
All right, this was, Elon Musk's SpaceX, and what you see is a rocket taking off, and the Starlink satellites going up, and you can read the caption. It really is the jets and the rockets primarily, and drones secondarily, that are feeding our planet with all of these nanomaterials that are falling down and that we're breathing and are in our bodies.
Scientists have discovered a human-made barrier around Earth, protecting against the natural particle radiation in space. They believe the bubble was formed by very low-frequency waves, or VLFs. VLFs have been found to interact with the particles in space, affecting how and where they move. VLFs are used for radio communications, including with submarines, because they can penetrate deep into the ocean. The waves can also travel far into the environment around Earth. By understanding more about how VLF transmissions help shape our space environment, we learn more about this complex region surrounding us. The more we know, the more situational awareness we have to protect our satellites from natural radiation in space.
Okay, so it kind of looks like this. This is the SBIRS system, the space-based infrared system. And we have this all above us. We have the GEO and the LEO and the HEO and the DSP. I don't remember what DSP means, and the LEO. And these are all different altitudes at which some of the technology that has to do with the lockdown space fence is functioning. And Lockheed Martin is the owner of the patents for the space fence. And that's what the second book is about, is the space fence. Basically, it's like what you call the smart grid. Only this smart grid goes all the way up to LEO, to low Earth orbit, and we are locked into it, okay? And it's electromagnetic. It's just a picture I wanted you to look at. This is sort of what a control room would look like at all sorts of places where they're operating the space fence above us. In the electromagnetic spectrum, it's important to realize how tiny our visible spectrum is. You see it there. We can't see into the other spectrums, and you may think that this is a deficit as a human being, but we now have machines that can see into those dimensions. The problem is we kind of have to accept how they're seen and interpreted from our experts, and that's where it gets complicated, because there are certain things they would not want us to know about some of these spectrums. So in the first book, I called it Chemtrails HAARP and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. When I said full spectrum dominance, that's a military doctrine. And what it means is full control over this spectrum, including our visible spectrum. And that's it's important to know that this is their top priority, because that has to do with controlling the planet. So these are vocabulary words that I think if you know, it's like the last two presentations, a lot of new words probably appeared for you. This is the time to start making vocab lists and memorizing them. And today I'm going to definitely refer to the ionosphere, which is 48 to 965 kilometers above us. The ionosphere contains a high concentration of ions and electrons and reflects radio waves. Very simple. A kilometer is 1,000 meters, or 0.62 miles. C5ISR is the military acronym for what used to be C2, Command and Control. Now it's Command, Control, Communications, Computers, Combat, with intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. You think they want to control everything on the planet? I think so. Then gain of function, I threw that in there, even though I'm not going to mention it today, but it is a pivotal phrase. You've heard it a lot on the internet during the lockdown. It has to do with exactly what I say here: activation of genetic mutations to enhance weaponized aspects, employed to weaponize nature and thus patent it, as it is illegal to patent anything natural. So everything is changed a little bit. And yeah, for greed, for profit, but also for more than that. And it has to do with transhumanism. And finally, there's transhumanism, the belief that humans should strive to transcend the physical limitations of mind and body by technological means. Okay. This is the famous harp, and most of the first book is about harp. I thought I'd read some of my notes to you just so you can remember. It's a great acronym. Found in the cutting-edge military doctrine document Air Force 2025 under Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025, the executive summary clearly states HARP's reliance on extremely low-frequency ELF waves and conductive nanoparticles in the lower atmosphere, as in Bernard Eastland's 1987 HARP patent. From the mid-90s to summer 2013, HARP's exotic and dangerous experiments on the ionosphere had devastating effects. HARP technology, or the solid-state phased array radar system, SBARS, is part of a global ionospheric heater network, many of which are now smaller, mobile, and multiplied into a global system of command, control, communications, computers, combat, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. Strategically placed sky heaters now stretch for miles under a sustained cloud deck. That's above us. Jointly managed by the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Navy, and DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, in conjunction with the Geophysical Institute of the University of Alaska, Fairbanks. Raytheon Corporation, your favorite, the largest U.S. military contractor after Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman owned the original HARP patents. The line between the intelligence community and big defense contractors is non-existent. Here we directly, and then I'll wait for that. Oh, we're not going to hear that. Mainstream science will probably chronicle HARP as having had an 18-year run with two major accomplishments to its credit: bouncing a 40-meter signal off the moon in 2007 and successfully producing a sustained high-density plasma cloud in the Earth's upper atmosphere in 2013. But the real breadth of its success lies closer to what Nick Begich and Gene Manning wrote in Angels Don't Play This Harp in 1995, and Rosalie Bertell, PhD epidemiologist, wrote in Planet Earth, The Latest Weapon of War in 2000. So then I list these. This is what HARP does, still going, it hasn't gone anywhere. Number one, generate extremely low frequency ELF waves for communicating with nuclear submarines. It's about a lot more than nuclear submarines. Number two, earth penetrating tomography, EPT. Penetrate land with ELFs in order to search for hidden tunnels and other sites of military interest, such as creating tidal waves and earthquakes. Three, generate ionospheric lenses in space to focus large amounts of high frequency energy, thus providing a means of triggering ionospheric processes that can be exploited for military purposes. Can also be used for tremendous holography, which we may be seeing in the days to come. Fourth, electron acceleration for infrared and other optical emissions that are used to control radio wave propagation properties. Five, generate geomagnetic field-aligned ionization to control the reflection scattering properties of radio waves. Six, use oblique heating to produce effects on radio wave propagation, thus broadening the potential military applications of ionospheric enhancement technology. Seven, change the chemical structure of the upper and lower atmospheres to alter the weather. This is what we're seeing now. That's what the so-called, what do they call it? Global warming and climate change. That's what it really is the chemical structure of our upper and lower atmospheres, lower is us, has been utterly changed. We are not breathing anywhere near the same air that they were breathing 50 years ago. 8, affect human mental functioning. Very important. They do it with pulsing. They're pulsing frequencies. And they're doing different geomagnetic areas differently. And then the 9th one, and the last one, is the impacts human health and other biological systems. So that's HARP, very important. This is our atmosphere, just because we don't normally think about it. So we're there down at the bottom of the Schumann well. It's known as the Schumann well. And then you see the troposphere. That's what we breathe from. The tropopause, the stratosphere, the ozone layer, the mesosphere, the ionosphere. And above the ionosphere, up to 22,500 kilometers, is the magnetosphere. That's really, for those who are involved in looking at spiritual things, here you could translate some of these to be the subtle bodies of the living planet Earth. So etheric body, astral body, whatever you want to call it, are in this. Here's the book I mentioned. Angels Don't Play This Harp. Still good. Nick did a great job on that book. And Planet Earth, Latest Weapon of War, a second edition has just come out by Rosalie. She's sort of the Rachel Carson of the geoengineering set. The ability of the HARP Space Lab rocket combination to deliver very large amounts of energy comparable to a nuclear bomb anywhere in the Earth via laser and particle beams is frightening. And that's what Rosalie said. This is the US Air Force Admiral, and he says that they're passing over in 2014, passing over HARP to the University of Alaska at Fairbanks, and that they had good success, and they now control the ionosphere, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of you this morning. Very interesting. I wanted to ask a couple questions here about HARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Several of you at the table have a little bit of a piece here. As you know, this is located up in Alaska. It's currently funded by the Air Force Research Lab. It was formerly funded by the Office of Naval Research. One of the prime customers is DARPA, which is currently running experiments at the facilities here. So questions to several of you this morning. I'm told by the president of the University of Alaska that the Air Force has pulled its support for the facility, and they're taking steps to demolish it or take it down this summer. He's making the argument that there is other opportunities for us, and is trying to find a path where the university might be able to take title to the facility. I'd like to start with you, Dr. Prabhakar. I understand that a lot of folks here on the committee probably don't understand what HARP does. I think most Alaskans don't really know what HARP does or why the agency is involved in it. So a very brief explanation, and then a more direct question. Would you be disappointed, or would you lose something if HARP were to go away?
Senator Murkowski, as I think you know, one of our programs has been using the HARP facility for the research that it's pursuing. And my understanding is that we did get value out of that interaction. The P in DARPA is projects, and we're not in the business of doing the same thing forever. And so very naturally, as we conclude that work, we're going to move on to other topics. So it's not an ongoing need for DARPA, despite the fact that we had actually gotten some good value out of that infrastructure in the past.
Understood. Then to Dr. Walker and Mr. Schaefer, then, Dr. Walker, your agency is currently running the facility. I've mentioned that it's our understanding through the president of UAF that the plans are to move forward and demolish the facility this summer. So the question to you is that accurate? Can you explain why? And then perhaps to both you and Mr. Schaefer, is there any benefit in exploring a potential relationship with the University of Alaska to perhaps take over the HARP?
Yeah, thank you, Senator. The Air Force has gotten great value out of HARP in the past. We took over from the Navy and managed it, and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there, and have finished our work that we're interested in doing up there. We've moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere, be able to actually control it. And but that work has been completed. The Air Force has maintained the site for other government agencies to use for several years now. And with DARPA completing their project, that's our last government customer that we have in the site. We have put out a call government-wide for other agencies that had interest in managing the site or taking it over, and including going out to academia and seeing if there was any interest there. We have gotten interest from the university in Fairbanks. However, the interest we have is that they will run it if we fund it, which is unfortunately in this fiscal environment we're in right now, this is not an area that we have any need for in the future, and don't see that it would be good use of Air Force S&T funds in the future. So our position has been that if there's not somebody who wants to take over the management and the funding of the site, then the Air Force has no future need, and that we do plan to do a dismantle of the system in the future after we make appropriate notifications.
When you say in the future, do you anticipate that it would be this summer then, or would there perhaps be more time for the university to try to figure something out?
We would prefer to start this summer. We would like to get the critical equipment out of the site before the winter. The harsh winter in Alaska does lead to a very costly winterization to maintain the site, and we'd like to avoid that if we can.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, if you have any comments on that?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm torn on this because my background is as an atmospheric scientist, and I think the facility is just a world-class facility. That said, we've worked very hard with the Air Force, with the Office of Science and Technology Policy over the last 18 to 24 months to find another sponsor for this, because it really, as you've heard the other people at the table, we, the department, have gotten the research value out that we need for the facility. We've also worked with University of Alaska Fairbanks to get some other person to pick up the long-term, just pure scientific research that HARP offers the promise of. But with all the other issues and problems and challenges facing the department at this time, we just don't see that investment over a long-term period is where we would prioritize our investment. So we've been working with other agencies, trying to get agencies like National Science Foundation, Department of Commerce, who runs the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration, to pick up the HARP facility. No one else wants to step up to the bill, ma'am.
So that's what happened with HARP, and that's why it's so famous. But it is a weapon system. It was called a research project because that's how you get around some of the conventions that are opposing using space for warfare. But it really is a weapon system. These are the 7 operations that are sort of my skeleton of how I pursue exposing this technology. This is from Clifford Carnicom, who had this in his wonderful film, still good, Aerosol Crimes. I've changed it quite a bit, but Clifford recognizes it and is in agreement. We're still friends. So it starts with the weather engineering, and I'm often asked, is there any natural weather? Not to my knowledge. There is no natural weather, except the weather that rolls off the South Pacific and is immediately picked up by the geoengineers to fashion as they wish it and prepare it to move across the United States and maybe even join up with the Atlantic weather that is, there's an island where it is produced, and that's how it goes. Weather goes from west to east, okay? Chemical electromagnetic, yeah, that's kind of involved in the weather engineering too, but I've made it separate because there are a lot of experiments going on regarding the chemical and electromagnetics. Then the planetary geophysical, something I would mention there, just to give you an example, would be volcanoes going off that haven't gone up often thousands of years and isn't really on the right timetable, the right pattern. You'll always see words like anomalous or mysterious or scientists don't really know why this has happened, that sort of thing. That's sort of your flag that it's probably a geoengineered event. And then another one would be the fires in California. Those were all geoengineered. Your fire here in Phoenix, I don't know, I haven't studied it yet to see if it follows a certain pattern. But yeah, a lot of fires are clearing areas where there are other plans for those areas. Then directed energy weapons, the DEWs, that's particle beams, yes, but I maintain that just about everything on planet Earth has been weaponized, and so a lot of, even the 60 hertz in your walls at your home, your TV, your cell phone, the cell towers we just heard about, all of these are, in a way, directed energy weapons now because they can be steered and beamed, and that's how it is. So surveillance and neural weapons, we already know about the satellites. The surveillance is now, since the smart city concept has come forward, is going to be way out of control. Little tiny nanobots that are surveilling and neural weapons coming from space. Yes, the brain can be influenced from a satellite thousands of miles up. Because it's all now frequency and pulsing. Okay, then I have that in blue, the next one, because that's really what I've spent the last 2 years on in this book I've just finished, is the digital biology, nanotech, and transhumanism, though I call upon all the rest as well. You can't, it's kind of like a Russian doll, right? They're all kind of inside each other. But digital biology, let me say a word about that. We're moving from molecular biology to digital biology. And what that means is, I was thinking of it while I was listening to Ben's presentation on the towers. the 5G, we saw it in action in Wuhan from the very beginning. And then we saw where some people started really realizing it was the 5G because of the 60 megahertz, the 60 gigahertz that actually sucks up all the oxygen in your body and in the area, your area where you are. Do you remember how Facebook and all the rest of the social media mafia took all those down? Everything that mentioned 5G and in relationship to the COVID-19 was immediately silenced. So that was a good clue there. But digital biology, what that means is, it means a lot of things, but one of the things that's most concerning is with a 5G network that can be used, and you know already that they're doing molecular biology by computer, which is pretty much what digital biology means. They can order it from, they can order bacteria or virus by mail order. Anybody can. It's not classified or anything. Anybody can order it and start to build a virus that's been weaponized, a gain-of-function virus. So that's part of what it means, but I think what it really means is if you are now programmed inside you through the nanoparticles I'm going to show today, then you can have something transferred to you. It would have to be weaponized because truthfully there is no such thing as virus and there is no such thing. These are all nanoparticles. These are all natural nanoparticles, some of them genetic material, exosomes that have been mistaken for virus, etc. And they can be loaded, though, by people who know what they're doing and are using CRISPR, the technology CRISPR, or another one in order to weaponize and gain a function these bits and pieces. And then if they get into your body, if you breathe them in, if they're aerosoled on us, which I'm sure they're doing, they're aerosoling us with all kinds of things now, then you breathe it in, and then it can be activated remotely in you through the 5G system. You see how it works? That's why the 5G it's very important to resist it. Because a lot of the 5G has gone up on the 4G plus polls. That I have by good authority. And I also think they've, at the same time, put the 6G up. And the 6G will have the job of primarily running our nanobots that are in our body, and we'll get to that. So then the last one is sort of the UFO one, the seventh operation. And that's where you see these ships in cloud structures, because the clouds we see in the sky now are mostly plasma. They're dry as a bone. They're not moisture clouds. They're made of plasma. And because why do they keep it so dry? I mean, you live in Arizona. What do you know about dry? But they want the atmosphere dry, even up where I live in Olympia, where it supposedly rains all the time. The rain there is not the old rain. It's dry. It's dry rain. You ready for that? And it's loaded with chemicals. I recommend to everyone in Washington that I meet, don't go out the first hour and a half in the rain, because it's all chemical. So if you're being chemicalized and you're then living in a wireless environment, you see the problem here. It's that it's all sort of weaponized, even the so-called natural things. Nanotech, I'm going to get to that. The transhumanism, I define that. And the cloaking, I didn't finish that. Regarding the cloaking, that's where the ships are in the plasma clouds. And they are, the TR-3B is ours, and the XB-37, is it? XB-38? Anyway, these are unusual ships. They can hover, and they actually can survive in space near Earth orbit for weeks or months. So I believe they are probably plasma ion systems that are running them. So we have very sophisticated exotic propulsion craft that are ours. And that's from bringing the Nazis over under Operation Paperclip. And they definitely were great engineers. So we have those, and they hide in the clouds sometimes. You might see a triangular ship. And then some of them even produce their own plasma. If they feel that they're not being covered well enough, you'll see it come out the aft part of the ship, a big cloud of plasma, and it'll sort of cover them over. And it makes sense that our military would be testing this in domestic airspace. It makes sense because they are always looking for new fuels and in pushing forward the craft that's going to get us into space. This is HARP weaponized. If you were to look at it, it's called interferometry. That area where the two beams cross is the target area, where you can then produce a scalar event. And scalar is from a different dimension. It's not the same as our normal electromagnetics. It's not really electromagnetic. They are able to do that with the ionospheric heaters. This is just before Fukushima, when the entire sky was being heated by HARP. Those were the days when you could actually read a site that told you when HARP was up and running and read the numbers of what it was doing. It wouldn't tell you where it was doing it. You'd have to figure that out yourself. But then they finally took it down because we got so good at reading it. And that's what it looked like just before the Fukushima earthquake hit. This is another way of looking at it, that, you know, this is the pulsing I'm talking about, and the pulsing that actually affects us so deeply because we are resonant beings. It's one of our beautiful things about being human. We resonate with what is around us. That's why you'll meet someone and immediately you don't like them. You don't even know them. Your resonance is saying, eh. And do I know why? No, I don't know why. But a lot of our lives depend on that resonance, and yet it makes us fragile to electromagnetic targeting. Okay, now we know we're in familiar ground where we look up and go, oh, geez, here they are again today. And then they spread out into a cloud cover, and it's plasma. And plasma is the fourth state of matter. I actually think it's the first state of matter. That's my own idea. But it's the fourth state of matter. It's sort of a fire gas, you could think of it. It's hot. It's a gas that they can create in a lab. You've seen lasers. Lasers are plasma. So notice the pulsing over there. And usually what that means is either there's a targeting operation going on, like with the Fukushima, or it's some sort of communication. Maybe there's a big conference there that day, and like, you know, a globalist conference or something. They'll really load the sky, because again, that's the sky being loaded helps their wireless communications. And that's the important part, is they need that for all the operations they're running. Test flights. Okay, so this shows you what has happened recently in the last, I don't know, 5 years maybe. You see the usual chemtrail at the top. Now a contrail, for the real newcomers, a contrail only lasts up to 30 seconds. And it's very short, And it has usually, it doesn't come straight out of the aft of the jet. It'll have a space, and then it'll start, and then it'll dissipate. It won't form any cloud cover or anything. But the chemical trail lasts a long time and eventually becomes the cloud cover. Notice the nano one? This is what we're getting now. I have people who write me say, yeah, there's no chemtrails, Elana. We haven't had any for days. And I'm thinking, have you got like chem fog, smog? Have you looked at the horizon? Can you see clear blue? If you can't, then maybe you've got the nano version operating there. This tells you about the patent for invisible contrails so that nobody can see them.
An aircraft comprising a gas turbine engine that exhausts a plume of gases in use. The aircraft comprises an ultrasound generator having an ultrasound actuator and a waveguide to direct ultrasonic waves at the exhaust plume to avoid the formation of contrails.
This is what's going on now that COVID-19 is winding down, is they're revving up the climate change thing again. And I call it Plan B, or no, that's what they called it. And so what does this mean? At the same time, the UFO thing is revving up, have you noticed? So I would keep an eye on both of them. Something is brewing, and I don't think it's from Alpha Centauri. Okay, solar radiation management. This is kind of how it works, the SRM. The only thing I wanted you to look at, I don't really believe in that stuff anyway, but notice the mirrors. Now those are plasma mirrors. They're not physical per se, but plasma is physical. And those are used for a variety of things. You'll see them with the solar simulators. You know, we have fake suns that we're putting up in the sky and fake moons. They're called solar simulator and lunar simulators. And they use the mirrors there in order to pull that off and make it look like a moon, except it's hexagonal, has a lot of hexagons in it, and they're all LEDs. And so it's not a round moon and it's not a round sun. But the plasma mirrors would be used for holograms. You know, movie theater, popcorn time. So there's just looks like a child drawing of healthy and happy people in a normal rain cycle, which we don't have anymore. We are in a period of Earth where engineering has taken over the natural processes and will take over even more, as Allison was prepping us for. This is ill and depressed people. And here you can kind of get a picture of how the artificial cycle of water works. They're basically recycling a lot of it. They're going to do a flood. They're going to pull it out of the atmospheric rivers. I know you know there are 2 atmospheric rivers above us. And they can just dump a big flood because they control the jet stream. And then this is the other part of the story. There's the jets, there's the rockets, there's the things in the sky, but then there's these ionizers. And this is, they're not doing silver nitrate anymore for cloud seeding. They're using the ionizers. And a lot of these ionizers get perks from NASA or the government in order to add to weather systems that are being used to target certain areas. This one is a Chinese scientist speaking in English, very good English, and just explaining to us nanoparticles and the extraordinarily important role they play in weather engineering. And his job is to help them do that even better.
If you do measurements of aerosols in the atmosphere, it is very, very common that people find a sudden appearance of nanoparticles. some kind of burst of nanoparticles. And the particle size is on the order of a few nanometers, which is about a million times smaller than the size of a typical raindrops. And if you introduce too many or too fewer of those particles, the seeds, you can fundamentally change the formation process of clouds, which is going to have a major impact on climate. So our study is actually going to help to measure those nanoparticles under atmospheric conditions, and also the study will help to better simulate aerosol formation growth in global climate models.
So this is us. We're in this beaker now called Earth. And yeah. And our job now is to learn how it works so we can keep our bodies going and have a productive life and do what we can while we're here to keep humanity human. I mean, that's how I look at my life. Nothing else really matters to me, truthfully. Okay, and there's another, I just threw that in. Just kind of get accustomed to seeing these numbers. I know some of you didn't like science in high school. That doesn't get very far with me. I don't really care. I cheated on my senior chemistry exam and wrecked the entire class curve. And everybody knew I had cheated. My father was the professor of chemistry at the University of Missouri. I could not fail him. So I babysat for the chem teacher and stole the answers. And I tried to get, a bunch wrong because I knew you couldn't get them all right. There was no way. But I still was found out. It was very humiliating. And my father was really humiliated. Okay, there you go. Who cares if you don't like science? Start learning it. You're living in a technological era. You came here with a purpose, and you need to educate yourselves as to how this technology works and not leave it for the experts, because you've noticed the experts are pretty much absolutely silent. Either under threats, or they have good careers and they've been bought off. I don't know, but they ain't coming to save us. This is our life now, if we could see it. We're in a smog, a perpetual, I don't know about you here in Tucson, but it doesn't really matter that it's semi-rural. What matters is I'd have to look at how many towers you got and what the satellites are doing overhead. Here you see all the ping marks. Ping, 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 ping. That's the smart city. It's going to be, as Allison said, it's a what'd you call it? A slave camp or?
Open air digital prison.
Huh?
Open air digital prison.
Yeah, that's what it is. This is one of the antennas, the Artemis. I thought, wow, these guys are cool to name that Artemis because it affects your sexuality. Like, bye-bye. Here's another one. Another one. The thing is, people ask me, what do they look like? What do they look like? They look like a lot of things. So I can't tell you what they look like. Fiber cable, I would argue with Ben that fiber cable is not safe at all. And it is buried, that it's buried is very unfortunate because it will then create a relationship with the geomagnetism of the area. So I don't see it as a panacea for anything. This is the difference between the phased array antenna and the old antenna of the 4G. You see it's just sort of spans, it's sort of, whereas this one is a targeting one, the phased array. And the phased array that's the best is known as the HARP. That is a phased array antenna. Your cell phones have these. Your 5G and your 4G both have phased array antennas. So in a way, to me, we've had 5G ever since we had 4G. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Millimeter waves. The thought that there's 5G and 6G, I'd like to say that 6G is above 95 gigahertz, and to 3 terahertz. And then terahertz is submillimeter radiation capable of unzipping DNA. So terahertz is what 6G will be. 5G could be 95, could be 3 terahertz, who knows, not us. This is us with all sorts of symptoms that are diagnosed by the medical industry as diseases, so they can make a lot of money off of you. But they're mostly symptoms, you understand? Even your chronic fatigue and all the different things that come from living in an electromagnetic world are really just symptoms. Not that that makes it any easier, but there are ways to deal with it other than drugs. You know, I haven't had an aspirin since I was a kid. I haven't taken any drugs, not even the fun ones, for many, many, many years. Yeah, I don't do Western medicine. Now we're gonna start moving toward something else, smart dust.
But in the future, every square inch of every city will be alive with intelligence. Because every street and every building will have a network of microcomputers built right into them. Dr. Chris Piester calls it smart dust.
A smart dust particle, or mote, is a wireless sensor with sensing, computation, communication, and power in one package.
These all-in-one microcomputers will be small, very small.
The size of a mote today is about the size of a grain of rice. And we've shown that we can make the circuitry small enough and light enough that eventually it will be possible to make things that are on a sub-millimeter size scale.
Tiny specks of computer smart dust will form a vast invisible network that can help manage the infrastructure of even the largest city.
Smart cities in the future will take this low-power, inexpensive, small technology and basically distribute it everywhere.
These tiny computers record information about their surroundings, information they can send to other computers or to you. Smart dust on the tracks will monitor your commuter train so you know if it's running late. Potholes will be able to report themselves and warn your car, and you'll never have to wait for a radio traffic report again.
They're monitoring the flow of traffic and giving you alerts about what route is the right way to go to keep the traffic moving.
Bridges will get a coating of smart dust particles that can warn us when they detect stress fractures, helping avoid deadly collapses. But smart dust will also allow buildings and streets to recognize you and respond accordingly.
I think increasingly, the environment will respond to who we are and adapt in consequence.
The city will know where you are if you want it to.
Your workplace will know you. Smart dust at the entrance will boot up your computer. And smart dust embedded in the elevator doors will automatically ring your floor.
Smart dust is going to sense the environment and allow us to improve the way that we live our lives.
No matter how we live in the future city, it will be radically different.
He does not tell us that they're in our lungs, blood, and brains. That's me. But smart dust. Remember, anything that has the word smart with it is electromagnetic, okay?
But we are giving off, if someone is using a mobile phone, for example, we're probably giving off a couple of hundred of these on average per second. Something like that. Maybe not quite as, maybe a dozen, perhaps. Although if you do video, of course, there's vast amounts more. So anyway, between dozens and hundreds of measurements, we are emanating constantly. And so if you collect those together, you can effectively triangulate someone's activities and behavior. And I don't think by chopping out many of them or adding kind of chaff, cover, that you can make that much of a difference, and increasingly it's less. And in terms of the Internet of Things, there's research prototypes now, which I assume are being used by intelligence agencies, of very small electronic circuits that you can just put in paper or put and paint or on the walls that are powered by the GSM stations. And they operate as the GSM radio wave passes through them. It gives them enough power for a very small amount of time to do things. So obviously that tendency is going to continue. It's not like the Internet of Things. It's if you like, intelligent evil dust scattered everywhere, like confetti in everything. So I think it's increasingly hard for human beings to work out how to deal with that.
That's it. It's intelligent evil dust. That's what smart dust really is. Bye, Julian. We wish you well, brother. Let's see. Okay, so this is from Under an Ionized Sky. What did I say? Chemtrails are loaded with nanosensors, according to industrial toxicologist Hildegard Staninger. When these sensors fall like bad fairy dust, they look like iridescent glitter. In the literature, they are called MEMS, micro-electromechanical sensors, and GEMS, global environmental MEMS. They record everything, are inhaled and ingested everywhere, and can be remotely communicated with. After all, what good would sensors be if you couldn't access what they're sensing? Needless to say, smart dust research is heavily funded by the Department of Defense. Okay, so we're loaded with these things. We're loaded. This is interesting because they're much smaller than this Hitachi thing. This is pretty old, but this was smart dust a while back, or at least what they wanted us to think was smart dust. Here's the GEMS, in the sense of they all have different jobs. The GEMS, MEMS, and NEMS. NEMS are the nano sensors. Nanoparticles, dusting in the house. A lot of what you're finding, some of it will be actual dust, but a lot of it's going to be nanoparticles. And if you get a little tiny microscope on the net, you can get one for $7. And it's 60 power, and it's enough to see quite a bit. I carry it all the time. This is on fruit in the grocery store. Masses of fibers, and these are the fibers that a lot of them hold morgellons, what Clifford Carnicom isolated as the cross-domain bacteria, which is the major part of the morgellons. The outside fiber is actually just the carrier, the polymer carrier of the CDB.
Under development since 1995, the military's goal is to install microprocessors incorporating gigaflops computer capability into smart particles the size of a single molecule. You see those ziggy-zag patterns and the circles with the extensions and more circles? That's why. That's why. Okay, they're invisible except under magnification of powerful microscopes. These nano-sized radio-controlled chips are now being made out of monatomic gold particles. Leave the nano gold alone. Nano gold will collect in the liver. Contrary to what you've been told in this industry, okay, the studies that were done on it, and I've got them right here, I'm going to talk about some of the studies, will find that nanu is not for you, okay, because of the way it conglomerates and congests in the system. All right. There's a company, a military company, that's producing this stuff. Let me read this. Invisible except under control, under magnification. Network together on the ground or assembling in the air. Thousands of sensors will link into a single supercomputer no larger than a grain of sand.
Thousands into a grain of sand. Holy.
That's why you have cellular degradation, because when a nanoparticle enters the cell, it's not just one particle. It's a consortium of particles entering into the cells, choking the cell's respiratory system, choking the cell's capacity to self-replicate and restore and rebuild. These things override and overwrite your cellular matrix. Okay, those of you who had wires coming out, you know, the psychosis, follicle psychosis that the doctors are talking about, you don't have a psychosis, they do. You have an actual issue going on. If you get that microscope and you take pictures of it, you can take it to your doctor. Say, doctor, you said I have psychosis, follicular psychosis. Well, what is this? This is evidence that something's growing out of my skin. Could it be a smart dust particle? He'll say, what's a smart dust particle?
Tony's important because there are some people who are really pursuing remedies for this situation of getting the nanoparticles, the nanobots, out of our bodies. And a lot of people are having extreme symptoms. And they somehow find Tony. And he's been doing this for about 10 years. He's always experimenting, always on himself. And he's come up with some extraordinary things. I think he's probably helped over several thousand people now. He's also experimenting with magnetism, because magnetism, we have a lot of magnetites in our brain and in our bodies because they're dropping them on us, because as we saw in the recent videos of people who get the jab and then they hang spoons off of the magnetic area, we're seeing that magnetism is being used extensively on our bodies. And it makes sense, given that we live in geomagnetic areas. So anyway, I recommend Tony. Sometimes he has weird jokes, but otherwise, he's really sharp on this. Okay, so this was just before Wuhan. Look at the date. Always check the dates in newspaper articles. This was just before, and they got the 5G, the world's largest 5G network up, and boom, right? You see how this works. So that's why I say what happened in Wuhan was not the same thing that happened in Seattle, New York, and Italy. Not the same. But 5G systems were probably running in those hospitals. I would have to find out, but I'm sure they were. The 5G is a very key. Okay, this is voice to skull. A lot of people don't know. Has anyone in here ever experienced it that wants to admit it? Because I have a lot of relationships, a dozen or more relationships with MK Ultra people and targeted people. And they all struggle with voices in their head that are not from schizophrenia, but are actually from a technology that operates remotely. So this is pretty old. Coming to a street lamp near you. Ready for that? That is from the LEDs in the new street lamps. It isn't just LEDs. There's more to it. There is more to those structures. Terahertz and 6G. 6G is all about bandwidth for AI tech and real-time computations needed for wireless remoting of human cognition, meaning human brains online, human class artificial intelligence. That's 6G. That'll also be 7G, would be my guess. Because 7G is already up and running. I can't remember where. Is it China? Does anybody remember? An announcement was made. Okay, and I only bring this up, epigenetics. I don't want to get into talking about genetics today. I don't have the time really. But the epigenetics is interesting. Do you know what epigenetics is? Does anybody want to, yeah, what do you, tell us what it is.
Oh, want me to tell you what it is?
Well, just a brief phrase. It's
above genetics. It means we can control the genetic expression.
It's mostly and through the environment.
It's environmental, and our minds and thoughts are also considered environmental.
Right. Our minds,
external factors.
Very good point. See, she said our thoughts are really in the environment. You think your thoughts are entirely in here and yours, but they're actually sort of around here. And they can be picked up because your thoughts are nothing but frequency. I mean, not nothing, they're probably important, but they are frequencies, all right? So epigenetics is very, very, that's what I really concentrate on. I'm always interested in epigenetics. So magnet-assisted transfection. Where have you seen this word transfection lately? You've seen it in COVID-19 mRNA articles. Transfection is an extraordinarily invasive process. And Ron Johnson, who I really like, he's very type A, he claims that the hardware at the base of cell towers is actually a transfection agency.
The possibility to exterminate an entire country can occur at the flip of a switch without warning and without the possibility to shelter. Ladies and gentlemen, these cell phone towers are not what they seem. The standard range for communication towers is about 10 to 20 miles. Yet there are hundreds, if not thousands, in every major city. They normally keep the power on low, but these towers can get jacked up and have enough power to nuke a city near you, like a giant microwave oven. These towers, disguised as telecommunications towers, can deliver death at the speed of light. No anti-missile defense system needed. No early detection is possible. The power running through these units is equivalent to hundreds of microwave ovens. They are giant microwave oven towers, and the oven is your city. And in any major city, there are dozens per square mile. They can light you up like a candlestick, and little by little, these things have gone up everywhere. People look at them, oh look, another cell phone tower. If people only understood, these aren't just cell phone towers. These towers are extermination towers. The World Health Organization recently classified cell phone towers and cell phone radiation as a health hazard, and that's putting it mildly. However, with just a slight modification of these towers, that is to say, a flip of a switch, these towers can be transmitting microwaves of a deadly nature. You could call this idea government-sanctioned extermination by cell tower. But officially it's called silent weapons for quiet wars. And in the wrong hands, these ideas could be called cell tower terrorism. And nobody wants to say a word about it because they couldn't possibly live without their cell phone. A foreign power could hijack our communications network tomorrow and nuke the population without them even knowing it or being able to do anything about it. The scenarios here are endless. These towers have looked like virtual guard towers since the beginning, and it only makes sense that they could be able to shoot rays into designated zones. And by what we've stumbled upon so far, it looks like these cell phone towers are just a small piece to another rather complex puzzle. We've discovered numerous U.S. patents regarding various delivery methods for nano-sized weapons triggered by electromagnetic waves. These weapons are called matro weapons, M-A-T-R-O, matro weapons, consisting of nano-micro capsules containing DNA or chemicals for transfection purposes. That's a mouthful. But what that means is they can deliver tiny capsules the size of dust, smaller than dust, that can enter your cells and that can release DNA or chemicals and turn you into a GMO, a genetically modified organism. Transfection is what they do to make GMOs. And instead of turning a tomato into a tomato, they can turn people into something else. They can deliver these nano-micro capsules through aerial dispersal, by driving a car down a street, into any populated area. People will breathe it in, drink it in, rub it in, and then they can be activated via frequency transmission. These micro bubbles can contain DNA or chemicals. And what would be the purpose of that? They could fake an outbreak in a designated area by activating a cell phone array. They could do it for a specific neighborhood or for an entire city, and nobody would be the wiser. and nobody would be looking for transgenic microbubbles as the source of the infection. All of this technology is well documented. It absolutely exists, and the question you should be asking yourself here is, do you want a nuclear weapon disaster parked in your neighborhood? You can call it a cell phone tower if you want to, but it's a nuclear bomb just waiting to go off. It just needs the right hacker or the right rogue state or the wrong politician to push the button. Do you trust a politician? Given what we know about our government, they probably already have this plan set up to nuke us all in case things go wild. If we don't accept their New World agenda, all they have to do is flip a switch, and there ain't no bulletproof vest for that. If you live within 10 or 20 miles of a cell phone tower, you could be affected by this technology. And again, no one can see it coming. Imagine lights out for the entire country at the flick of a switch and nobody's warning you. You could wake up in the morning, turn on the television, they say, breaking news, the entire East Coast has been wiped out and nobody knows why. People just dropped dead everywhere and nothing was destroyed. It's the perfect weapon for the NWO. Extermination without mass destruction. A weapon of mass extermination. One thing's for sure, we don't need 10,000 nuke towers per major city. And now that they've built up a grid, all they need to do is flip the switch.
Fiber cable, look at all those little guys ready to pick up thousands and thousands of operations. Cyclotron resonance, I'm going to whip through this, it's too complex. This should be known, the Ebner effect, in that electromagnetics can alter a species in one generation. Brain implants like Elon Musk's Neuralink. You see it here with the mesh electronics. Notice that in the bottom picture. Notice how it forms a node of its own around the neuron. And that's pretty much, that's the neural lace that he talks about. And that EBS has been around for a long time. Quantum computation will be the first technology that allows useful tasks to be performed in collaboration between parallel universes. Let's chew on that for a minute. Okay. So he's a theoretical physicist, David Deutsch. You think he's fooling us? I don't. I have a really good chapter in the Ionized Sky book on CERN. It's called The Temple of CERN. And it is at CERN that a lot of remarkable things have happened. And it seems to me that they have opened portals to other dimensions with the D-wave computer, which is an adiabatic quantum computer. So I think he's right. Quantum computation will be the first technology that allows useful tasks to be performed in collaboration between parallel universes. Quite a time. If you aren't deeply disturbed by quantum mechanics, you clearly haven't understood it. That's, of course, Richard Feynman, one of my favorites. Here's Eric Drexler. Eric Drexler is the founder of nanotechnology. And I recommend you read about it. I read a really good book called Nano about Eric. And here's what he said. I was thinking about machines able to build copies of themselves that were highly non-biological in their organization, not made of molecules, of biomolecules. Drexler recalled much later, having done some reading in ecology and having some understanding of the way the biological world works, it was pretty clear to me that it would be possible to build, not necessarily easily, but it would be possible to build a mechanism of the kind that could operate in the natural world on abundantly available compounds, or perhaps a wide range of compounds to build copies of itself. Something like that would be a lot worse than any plague or insect infestation you could think of. And in a limited case of awfulness, such a thing could have a very broad ability to consume organic matter. Obviously, there would be no predators, no ecological checks and balances, and so it could generally destroy the biosphere. And what's he talking about? He's talking about his discovery of nanotechnology. And he actually sat on that technology, at least according to the book I read, which, by the way, I did happen to notice never mentioned the word military once in it, which made me highly suspicious, because do you think the military would have been interested in his technology? Do you think the military keeps a close hand on graduate students who are studying physics? Oh yeah. So I think that the book is pretty purged. But Eric really had a conscience problem because he thought nanotechnology was going to make everything easier for us and free us up for lots of leisure time. He really believed in it. Instead, it's been weaponized. Synthetic organisms and living machines. So it's sort of an oxymoron, isn't it? Living machine. But no, it's happening. That's what a nanobot is. It's a living machine. And it's synthetic, of course. It's not natural. It's been made by man. No, let's not go through this. This is nanotech. These are all small portions that talk about fullerenes. Fullerenes are carbon nanotubes, CNTs, and they're pretty much what is used most by the drops that are coming from the aerosols. Here's that battery I told you to get. It has also a UV light. It has UV and LED. Very cheap and very good. Very good. Very tiny, this big. Really? Wow. Yep, carry it in your pocket, carry it in your purse. Yeah, this one's pretty spooky.
You are watching an electron microscope video of silicon nanowires growing from gold particles. A nanowire is a pillar of crystal ranging from a few to several thousand atoms in diameter. This video was obtained through an exciting and relatively new microscopy technique that allows us to study the growth of nanowires in real time with atomic resolution. We are interested in nanowires as they have potential applications in information and communication technologies, low-energy lighting, rechargeable batteries, and medical sensors. Nanowires grown through this method you are watching could be used someday to make lithium batteries that are predicted to be 8 to 10 times better than current lithium batteries. Improved battery performance is very important for many applications, perhaps the most important being commercially viable electric vehicles.
A lot of BS. It's for inside our bodies. Yeah. Well, they need a power source inside us. Yeah. Okay. So this one's really good. If you can go and find it, charged gold nanoparticles unzip DNA, and watch the DNA struggle for its life against being ripped to shreds. This is so, the aggression is, it's totally there. So, life struggling to survive against a gold nanoparticle. It's something else, isn't it? And then this is a fiber that Jan Smith, she's dead now, she died of Morgellons, I guess you have to say. Jan had discovered this, that some of the fibers in her body had these gold heads on them for conductivity. I mean, that's what gold is great for. Gold is a great conductor. And there's some under an electron microscope. These are the fibers. Do we have them in us? Yes, we do. We all have them. We've all breathed the same air. We all have the fibers in us. Some people get sores and have Morgellons, as it's called. Some people don't. I don't get the sores. I always think it's because of my immune system, but I don't really know. Rainwater, fibers found. You might want to collect rainwater and use your little fiber, your little microscope. So there, this is the fiber, and you can see through it. You see, it has innards. It has things inside, and sometimes they're round, and that would be the cross-domain bacteria, which is the main reproductive organ of them, because they reproduce like crazy. That's what we found in the masks. Remember, on the internet, and on the what are they called? The swabs. Thank you. Was it a Morgellon fiber? I don't know. We'd have to examine it, you know. And it's just a picture. And there's somebody's skin with a lot going on right under the surface of the skin. This is sputum that someone coughed up after months of coughing. That's just loaded with fibers. So this one is a medical one. In precision medicine, they use these to dispense medication. And it's creepy because it goes up to one of the neurons or the axon, I can't remember. And these little hands come out of it and just grab it. And yeah, so I don't know if I have one of those in me. Quantum dots, these come out of the sores. Nanowires discover signaling circuit boards inside the body cells. Oh, they were just there, right? They weren't put there. Yeah, right. It's a fascinating field, this nanotech. I mean, I'll bet the guys who are involved in it are just big, happy campers. You can't see it, but it looks just like a circuit board, and it's right under the skin. Okay, I'll stop there. I am selling books. If you want one, I'll sign them. And otherwise, thank you so much.